That specular highlight has got the nice broken edge right here. And then
Collins points out the specular qualities that the bounce box is providing the bike.
On the Yamaha, so there's contrast to it, but it gives a real, it shows that bike has got a real nice paint job to it. And that Yamaha painting, that airbrush quality of that very light to the very dark, just really, really evenly illuminates it well. You got a lot of freedom and light here, and you got good illumination top to bottom. This guy's great.
Dean decides that a 500-watt photo flood should be placed on a boom stand close to the background to create a rapid fall-off of light.
Okay. Yeah, just about like that. Yeah, go ahead and dig a boom up, just that little Manfrotto boom. Bring it about in there and just kick in a real bright spot right there. And then as it's in the set, it'll be real nice to give a reason for it.
A Roscolux amber gel is added for a warm sun effect.
Okay. Lower down camera.
From behind the 8x10 camera, Collins directs his crew in the placement of large sheets of white foam board to create the illusion of a street. The ground level of the street in the photograph is directly related to the camera height and angle that is set by Collins. Using white boards helps Dean to see the position of the street level on the ground glass.
You're fine, spin's fine. Yeah, just a little bit dip on just the front end area.
A 4-foot wide roll of black plastic is then brought in to create the wet street look. Collins explains the technique.
The creation of motion on a road can be created by several different surfaces. We wanted an early morning wet feeling, the road being moist from the early morning dew. So instead of using tar paper like one normally will, we put black visqueen out there, which gives that high surface efficiency, a lot of reflections, and you actually see that it's a mirrored image of the bike, which gives that illusion of being wet, as you would see in the morning. The visqueen was moved about 4 feet in front of the bike, brought up to where it's right even with the wheels. And the reason we did that instead of bringing it into the bike is we wanted to be able to put reflector boards underneath the bike to kick light up from the large light box onto it, kicking it up and showing the illumination of the manifolds, the exhaust manifolds. If this was black exhaust pipes, we probably wouldn't be so concerned with this, but in this particular bike we were. So bringing it forward and putting those reflector boards.
With the plastic laid out across the foam board, a hot air paint stripper is used to reduce the packing folds and create a smoother surface. Moving the plastic during the timed exposure will eliminate any other imperfections in the plastic. With the wet street in place, the crew begins to make preparations for the first Polaroid check print. Strips of tape are used to cover the headlight of the bike, leaving only one side exposed toward the camera. This prevents light from spilling onto the painted background while still giving the appearance of a lighted headlamp. Working from the ground glass of his camera, Dean directs the placement of a small sheet of foam board under the bike. Painted to match the background, the foam board will act as a unique dodging tool during the long exposure.
To create the motion of the bike, the only thing that's really moving on the bike is the wheels. The rider's holding still. So to be able to move the wheels, we had to bring the bike up. Once the bike was up and suspended off the ground, the wheels would spin freely. We moved the wheels by monofilament lines, which were tied around the wheels, slowly pulled out, and as they were pulled out, it spun the wheel slowly. You only had to move it about, an eighth of the revolution, when that would give the full motion necessary. But by bringing it up off the ground, it gave us a problem. The problem was you could see the support bars behind it blocking out the background. The way we solved that was bringing in small boards, foam boards painted the same color as the background, and then by moving them during the 6-second exposure, totally retouched out and removed any of these support device. It's a very inexpensive way of what would normally cost a lot of money going to retouchers to retouch those 8x10 chromes. This whole thing is coming right in there.
Collins and his assistant discuss some needed touch-ups to the foam board and the amount of movement necessary to effectively dodge out the supports under the bike.
As I possibly can. And this is all fine. This is going to block up, and that wedges in real good. So, like I say, they're going to instead of 3 or a 4, maybe a 6-second to make sure it really blends in, or just keep moving it. It should be right on. Yeah. Great.
Monofilament fishing line is attached to both the front and back wheels and then guided through the treads of the tires as the wheels are readied for the first check print. During the exposure, the wheels are turned slightly to produce the illusion of motion and speed. A graphic reveals that only a quarter turn is necessary to produce the motion effect. A close look at the specular highlight in the rider's black helmet reveals to Collins that the wrinkles in the overhead bounce box will indeed be visible on an 8x10 chrome. A crew member suggests that slightly moving the box during the exposure should smooth out any wrinkles in the highlights.
Yeah, we'll try it. Yeah.
Dean takes an incident meter reading to establish a hypothetical 18% value in the subject area.
Okay.
and then dials in an aperture of f32.4 with a shutter speed of 8 seconds.
So 32.4. 32.4 ASA 80.
The highly reflective chrome is polished as the rider sets into position. Collins checks his final focus by looping the ground glass of the camera. By focusing 1/3 the distance through his desired range of focus, Dean is assured of the proper depth of field in the photograph. Some final communication concerning the dodging tool convinces Collins that it will cover the supports. The assistant will remain hidden behind the bike throughout the exposure.
Okay, we've got the background. Yeah, you're at the shot.
Collins clears up any questions from the crew before the first Polaroid is exposed.
Because you don't want to run out of string, because if you run out of string, it's going to have a sharp image. Okay, so you just want to slowly pull it out, and you can extend the whole thing. Kevin, you know your mark's right there. Okay, that's fine. You keep hidden. Okay, everybody set? Okay, here we go.
As Tony sets the box into motion, each crew member prepares to do one of the many jobs that must take place simultaneously. The background, dodging tool, tires, plastic street, and bounce box must all be in motion during the exposure to create the desired effect. The exposure is 8 seconds at f32.4. The first attempt, a disappointment. The long exposure of light to the film has caused a reciprocity failure.
The sun looks real good. The sun looks like a sun. My only concern is that looks like black visqueen there. I think it's going to look like black visqueen.
Can we go faster with it? Our gobo the sun off.
I don't know. Until we get a good exposure, we're really not going to know, you know. But the bike looks good. Everything looks good. I think we're just going to have to bring up and I'm going to
Collins decides that an increase in aperture of 2 stops should compensate for the problem.
Do another one. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go.
A second exposure is made at f16.4 at 8 seconds.
A little faster, Spence, a little faster. 1,004, 1,004, here comes, good. Okay. I like this a lot. I like this an awful lot. What do you think?
I think the black is great on my City looks great. Wheels are great.
Everything's good. I'm gonna have to drop this guy. The street looks wet, doesn't it? Or does it look like visqueen to you? I don't know. What do you think? Just a drop, but the bike looks fabulous. Look at all the lines, dimensions, everything is there. God, boots look fabulous. The light quality on that is, look at that specular on that right across Yamaha. Oh. Low angle was chosen on the bike to photograph the bike so we could see the underneath carriage, see the exhaust manifolds, and pick up that illusion of that reflection in early morning. We didn't want to shoot down on it because we'd lose that reflection foam. The lens we used was a 300 millimeter lens on an 8x10. The reason we didn't go with anything wider is because we'd have to have a larger background, a longer background. The longer the millimeters we can get, the smaller the background would be, because we're only going to move at 14 inches. If we had a wide angle lens, we'd have to have a very large background to create that motion. We shot it almost wide open. We were around 11-16. We didn't really care too much about depth of field because we only had to carry the focus the width of the rider, and that's just about all we was necessary.
A 650-watt quartz lamp is placed on a boom stand and aimed at the rider's back and the back wheel of the motorcycle. Note the highlights from the quartz lamp on the rider's jacket and the back tire of the bike. Also, the dodging tool has been painted black to better blend with the background. To provide separation for the front tire, Collins uses a can of extra dry antiperspirant spray, making sure to turn the tire while spraying the edge to create an even highlight. Wrinkles in the diffusion fabric can be seen in the specular highlight on the helmet, as the box and the crew are set into motion for the third test print.
1,001, 1,002, 1,000, a little faster back there. 3, 1,004, 1,005, 1,006, good, 1,007, great.
The Polaroid is peeled, and Collins is pleased with the results.
Look at the wheel. Look at the wheel with that stuff.
Look at the reflection of the ground. Yeah. That's so sharp.
I can't see really what else to just jink around with it.
He will now move on to the final exposures on film.
Helmet, yeah, the tire, the front.
As the final image is put on film, our camera point of view reveals that the high-speed motion of the motorcycle is actually created by the motion of everything except the bike and its rider.